Candace Owens has built a reputation for never holding back, and when she turned her focus to Meghan Markle, she did not mince her words. She accused Meghan of inauthenticity, calling her out for portraying herself as something she was not. According to Owens, Meghan has spent years curating an image that doesn't align with reality, an image of a devoted mother, a compassionate advocate, and a victim of relentless scrutiny. Owens, however, argued that this was less about truth and more about performance. She made the damning suggestion that Meghan has been picking lanes whenever it suited her, switching between being the underdog, the glamorous royal, or the relatable celebrity depending on the narrative she wanted to sell. To Owens, this wasn't just a flaw, it was the fatal crack in Meghan's brand. What made this attack sting more than casual tabloid gossip was its precision. Owens wasn't just throwing mud, she was pulling at the very threads that held Meghan's public identity together. For years, Meghan has sought to present herself as the embodiment of authenticity, a woman who lives her truth no matter the cost. Owens flipped that claim on its head, suggesting Meghan's truth was a series of half-truths, stitched together for maximum effect. In a world where audiences are increasingly allergic to anything fake, Owens' critique landed hard, painting Meghan not as a misunderstood woman, but as a calculated manipulator of her own image. The most jaw-dropping moment came when Candace Owens claimed that Meghan Markle may have secretly had a daughter at just 17 years old, a child now close to 30, who had allegedly been erased from Meghan's public narrative. Owens didn't frame this as a wild rumor or baseless gossip. Instead, she presented it as a claim with serious implications, something that could destroy Meghan's most valuable asset, her identity as a loving, devoted mother. This wasn't about Meghan's career choices or her complaints about royal life. This was about the most personal, intimate part of her story, motherhood. Meghan has built her entire brand around being a mother, parading her pregnancies in public, suing tabloids for targeting her children, and making Archie and Lilibet central to her public redemption arc. But if Owens' claim held even a shred of truth, then that very image would collapse in on itself. A woman who claimed to champion family values would suddenly be seen as someone who had turned her back on her firstborn. Owens suggested this wasn't a tragic accident or painful custody battle but a calculated erasure, a deliberate decision to hide the child from view. And that's what made it so devastating. If true, it wasn't just a moral failing, it was a branding catastrophe. Meghan's strongest card, her identity as a mother, would instantly become her biggest liability. One of the central contradictions Owens highlighted was Meghan's obsession with presenting herself as authentic. Meghan has repeatedly told audiences that her life, her choices, and her actions all come from a place of genuine truth. She insists that she has never played by anyone else's rules and that her motherhood is her proudest achievement. But Owens framed Meghan's alleged hidden daughter as proof that authenticity is the one thing she cannot claim. How could someone who abandoned their firstborn, Owens asked, stand in front of cameras and claim to be a warrior for family values? Meghan's entire appeal has rested on her image as a mother who fights for her children, yet this allegation made her seem like someone who selectively chose which children counted in her story. The contradiction was brutal. The woman who sued tabloids for infringing on her kids' privacy might have deliberately erased her first child's very existence. If true, this was not just inconsistency, but the ultimate act of hypocrisy. For Meghan, whose image relies on relatability and sincerity, even the suggestion of such a performance cuts deep. In the eyes of critics, it shifted her from misunderstood victim to manipulative actor. And for audiences who had once defended her, this forced a reevaluation. Was Meghan truly authentic, or had the world been watching an elaborate performance all along? Owens strengthened her accusations by pointing to inconsistencies in Meghan's own timeline. Meghan has publicly claimed she was born in 1981. Yet, according to Owens, Meghan's supposed 1994 high school graduation would make her just 13 at the time, something that doesn't make sense. Either Meghan lied about her birth year, or the graduation date was misrepresented. For most people, such discrepancies might be dismissed as minor mistakes. But for someone like Meghan, who has spent her entire career meticulously crafting her narrative, these inconsistencies looked like deliberate fabrications. Owens argued that Meghan's obsession with controlling her story meant that such mistakes were unlikely to be accidental. Instead, they raised suspicions that parts of Meghan's life had been intentionally rewritten to fit the image she wanted to sell. To the public, timelines matter. They anchor the authenticity of someone's personal story. When the math doesn't add up, it casts doubt on everything else. Was Meghan older than she claimed? Did she graduate at a different time? And if she lied about those details, what else might she be hiding? This timeline discrepancy became fuel for speculation, feeding into Owens' broader claim that Meghan's life story was less autobiography and more marketing campaign. Owens also resurfaced whispers of a rushed Las Vegas chapel wedding in 1994, allegedly occurring right after Meghan finished high school. While nothing has been proven, the implication was clear. Such a hasty marriage could point to a teenage pregnancy, a secret Meghan has worked hard to bury. In Owens' telling, this wasn't about a youthful mistake but about an event that tied directly into the possibility of a hidden child. The chapel rumor added a layer of credibility to the daughter allegation, giving critics a timeline to latch onto. It also fit with the broader theme of Meghan's story not quite adding up, with missing pieces that could explain why certain chapters of her early life remain blurry. The danger of such rumors is that they don't need hard proof to stick. In the world of social media, speculation alone can create enough smoke for people to believe there must be fire. A rushed Vegas wedding connected to a hidden pregnancy was the kind of narrative the internet devours, and it quickly became another weapon in the arsenal of Meghan's critics. Even though there was no official confirmation, the story made Meghan's image look less like a fairy tale and more like a carefully edited version of reality. Once Owens' broadcast aired, the internet took over. Hashtags like hidden daughter went viral. TikToks dissected every detail, reaction videos piled up on YouTube, and Reddit threads spiraled with theories. Social media detectives began pulling out old interviews, analyzing inconsistencies, and even comparing photos of women in their late 20s or early 30s who bore resemblance to Meghan. The scandal spread not because of hard proof, but because of engagement. The internet thrives on speculation, and the possibility of Meghan hiding a daughter was too explosive to ignore. For Meghan, this was catastrophic. Her brand has always relied on carefully managed media appearances, glossy Netflix documentaries, and Oprah-style interviews where she controlled the narrative. But once the internet grabbed hold of the story, that control evaporated. Meghan no longer dictated the conversation, the public did. And in the ruthless logic of viral algorithms, facts mattered less than curiosity. The more people questioned Meghan's story, the bigger the scandal grew. Even without evidence, the allegation became an undeniable part of her public image. What made this scandal even worse was Meghan's silence. Normally, Meghan is quick to respond to criticism either through public statements, lawsuits, or carefully staged interviews. But this time, nothing. No rebuttal, no denial, not even a vague statement about misinformation. For someone who built her identity on controlling her narrative, this silence was deafening. And in the world of public perception, silence is often read as guilt. Critics argued that if Meghan truly had nothing to hide, she would have come out swinging with evidence to disprove the claims. Instead, her silence only fueled speculation that there might be truth behind the rumors. Some insiders whispered that Meghan was furious behind the scenes, with lawyers scrambling and cease and desist letters being drafted. But in the public eye, her refusal to speak became its own statement. For her supporters, it was frustrating. For her detractors, it was vindication. And for neutral observers, it raised the most dangerous question of all: what if she really does have something to hide? Perhaps the most devastating consequence of Owens' allegations was the shift in Meghan's own fan base. For years, Meghan has had a loyal following who defended her against accusations of manipulation, racism, and dishonesty. But this time, even her supporters began to hesitate. Owens framed the issue not as gossip but as accountability. She posed the damning question: how could a woman who abandoned her child claim to be the world's model of motherhood? That framing resonated deeply because it wasn't just an attack on Meghan's public image, it was a moral challenge. Fans who once defended her now found themselves asking difficult questions. Had they been misled all along? Was Meghan's story less about authenticity and more about calculated branding? This sense of betrayal spread quickly online, with former defenders admitting they no longer knew what to believe. For Meghan, losing critics was one thing. But losing fans, the people who gave her power and influence, was something else entirely. The scandal didn't just affect Meghan, it dragged Prince Harry into the storm as well. Owens' allegations raised immediate questions. Did Harry know about a hidden daughter? If so, was he complicit in covering it up? And if he didn't know, what did that say about his marriage? Observers began dissecting Harry's public appearances, noting that he seemed increasingly detached, going through the motions rather than fully engaged. Some suggested he had emotionally checked out long before the scandal erupted. For Harry, this was especially damaging because he has always branded himself as a protector, a truth-teller, and Diana's son who stands for honesty. If he was caught hiding something as monumental as a stepdaughter, it would destroy that image. The couple's critics in the royal family reportedly watched with satisfaction as the tables turned. After years of being lectured by Meghan and Harry about morality, compassion, and truth, the royals were now seeing the couple face accusations of dishonesty and hypocrisy. In this way, the scandal didn't just damage Meghan, it reshaped the way people saw Harry, casting him less as a victim and more as a willing accomplice. Finally, the scandal has had dire consequences for Meghan's career. Hollywood executives, who once treated her as a marketable star, began quietly distancing themselves. Projects dried up, meetings went silent, and even Netflix and Spotify, who had already shown hesitation, reportedly grew more reluctant to work with her. Meghan's silence created a dangerous limbo. If she sued Candace Owens, she would have to provide hard evidence, birth certificates, timelines, and documents she has spent her life avoiding when inconvenient. A courtroom doesn't care about PR spins, it demands facts. But if she stayed silent, the rumor continued to thrive unchecked, becoming an assumed truth in the public eye. It was a lose-lose situation, a trap with no escape. This is why Meghan's brand is now in peril like never before. The one thing she cannot afford to lose is trust, and once audiences believe she may have lied about something as fundamental as motherhood, trust is impossible to regain. For Meghan, the fallout is not just about a rumor. It's about whether her entire identity, mother, advocate, role model, was built on a foundation of secrets and silence. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.